The Detroit Lions have gone through the first wave of free agency 2023, and they filled some positions of need. We got potentially 2 starting cornerbacks, and we picked up David Montgomery in free agency to replace Jamal Williams. Now, with that being said, the Detroit Lions still have a lot of work to do, particularly on defense. But surprise, surprise, this video is not going to be about defense. This video here is about the backup quarterback position. A lot of you do not know, but I have been on this platform since 2018 talking Detroit Lions. And from 2018 to right now, I have been an advocate of 2 things for your Detroit Lions. One was defensive edge rusher. We got that in Aiden Hutchinson, and I would love to get Will Anderson in this draft. And the other position has been the position of backup quarterback. The Detroit Lions have not needed a backup quarterback and really worth anything during the time that Matthew Stafford was here. Matthew Stafford played from 2011 to 2018 or 19, I believe, 8 straight years, not missing a single game during that span. And since then, the Detroit Lions have seen probably some of the worst backup quarterbacks in the National Football League. We saw what happened when the Detroit Lions did not have a backup quarterback in 2021 when Jared Goff was injured, and we had to have Tim Boyle come in. And during the preseason, all we did was complain about Tim Boyle and David Blau. Well, we didn't go into the season with David Blau. He chose to side with the Minnesota Vikings, and we wind up releasing Tim Boyle during the season. Brad Holmes said during his combine press conference that he was either through the draft or free agency going to address the backup quarterback situation. Most of the suitable backups, a suitable backup to me is a quarterback that can come in and win you 2 or 3 games. If your starter has a significant injury and they need to sit out for a few weeks, that person can win back-to-back games or is capable of winning at least 1 or 2 games. We don't have that. He said he was going to address that either in free agency or the draft. Well, the first wave of free agency is gone, and almost everyone that is suitable is off the market. There are 2 quarterbacks left that we're going to talk about in this video, but my question to you is, when do you think Brad Holmes is going to address the quarterback situation? Now, I'll have my feelings on that. My feelings are our defense is our first priority, so spending a draft pick on a quarterback when the defense is more pressing, to me, it had to be where you had to address something in free agency and supplement that in the draft. And the Lions, they addressed the cornerback position in free agency. So now, are we going to double down in cornerback in the draft, or are we going to address some other needs? Maybe linebacker, defensive tackle, something like that. Will we do that? Backup quarterback. So now, if Brad Holmes does not move for one of these 2 people, which I hope he does, we are going to have to focus on the draft. That will take at least 1 player away to go toward our defense. And it doesn't look like the Detroit Lions are going to make any really significant moves in what's left of free agency. So we're going to take a look at the Detroit Lions draft picks, what they have coming up this year. I do believe a trade will be in there. Brad Holmes has traded both his years as general manager of the Detroit Lions. We're going to take a look at the available cap space right now, and we're going to take a look at 2 quarterbacks that I think the Detroit Lions should entertain, and I'll tell you who I wouldn't mind seeing for the Detroit Lions. These currently are the Detroit Lions draft picks. They have the LA Rams pick 6. They have their pick at 18. They have 48, which is their pick as well. Then they have the TJ Hawkinson pick. They have a 3rd round pick. They have no 4th. They have 1 5th. They have the Trinity Benson 6th. This 6th round pick came from Trinity Benson. And then we have the 6th pick in the 6th. I'm sorry, we have a 6th round pick as well. Okay? So these are the current 8 picks that the Detroit Lions have. Who would have ever thought that Trinity Benson, like 2 years later, would pay dividends as far as when we traded for him, we were like, man, Trinity Benson, who is he? And now his draft pick is coming into play. All right, so those are our draft picks. Now, here is the current salary. This is the current cap space for the Detroit Lions. It was in blue right here, but let's highlight it back in blue. Your Detroit Lions currently have $17,924,341. Now, from my understanding, the Detroit Lions need, according to Spot Track, they need about $14.5 million to allocate toward the rookie class from the first pick in the first round, from their pick in the first round to their pick in the sixth round. Okay, that's with no trades. So that adds up to about $14.5 million roughly. Okay, so that would leave us currently with $3 million in cap space. Now, the Detroit Lions can create some more cap space by restructuring someone, by cutting someone. If we cut Romeo, that would be, I want to say 7. Big V would be 6.5. So right there between those two individuals, we could have another $13.5 million to the salary cap that we'll have, okay? With that being said, there are two people on the market that I would not mind seeing to be backup for your Detroit Lions. I'm also not opposed to them drafting a QB as well, as long as we have our defense where we want it to be. We cannot be ranked 29th. We cannot be ranked 32. I don't want to hear about, well, the back half of the season. We cannot start the season 1-6 because we can't make anybody punt. Bottom line, end of discussion. I'm not having it this year, okay? Now, these are the available free agent quarterbacks, okay? And I want you to tell me in the comments, who would you take to be a backup for your Detroit Lions? The selection is very, very thin. We have Bryce Perkins, Trace McSorley, John Wofford, Brett Ripon, Jeff Driscoll. He used to play for us. Nathan Peterman, Nate Sutfeld, Josh Johnson. Him and Nate used to play for us. Brandon Allen, Brian Hoyer is still in the league. Trevor Siemian, Chase Daniel. He used to play for us. Blaine Gabbert, Joe Flacco, Mason Rudolph, Teddy Bridgewater, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, and Carson Wentz. Out of this selection, who would you want to be a backup quarterback to Jared Goff? There's only two names on here that I see, and I'm going to tell you who they are. The first one would be this gentleman here, Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater will be the first backup, one of the backups that I would take. And right now, I'm about to ruffle some feathers. I'm about to kind of shock you all, and I don't care because that's what I do. My number one backup out of this list here that I would take is this man right here, Carson Wentz. I would take Carson Wentz to be a backup quarterback for the Detroit Lions because all we need is somebody who is capable of winning games. I was a huge fan of Teddy Bridgewater back in 2019 when we decided to get, I want to say it was either Matt Castle or Chase Daniel. Carson Wentz can move around. We know who Carson Wentz is. Carson Wentz is also somebody capable of winning games. When it comes to Teddy Bridgewater, I just don't think Teddy has been the same since the knee injury. He has the two gloves. He's always played with them. And I think as his career starts to progress on, Teddy Bridgewater is going downhill. Then you had the concussion incident last year where Skylar Thompson had to come in for the Miami Dolphins. So the question that I have for you is, with Brad Holmes, the first wave of free agency being over, the quarterback free agency list that we have available, do you think that Brad Holmes will address the position? He said that he would. He said it would be either through free agency or the draft. It hasn't been through free agency, which means that if it's not, which is not looking like per se right now, on the 18th of March that we're going to get a quarterback. I hope we do. But that means we're going to have to focus on the draft, which means that one of these picks would have to be used on a quarterback. We had this discussion yesterday, and right here, one of these two picks could possibly be Hendon Hooker, who would have gone earlier had he not been injured. Okay? So do you want to use one of your draft picks on a quarterback, or would you like to see it addressed in free agency? Let me know. You already know my answer. I would love to see a backup quarterback capable of winning games, whether it's a rookie or a free agent. but we got to get the defense right. Like I said earlier in the video, I don't want to hear it. No exceptions. We have to address the linebacker. We have to address the defensive tackle. We have to get safety depth. We have a lot of work to do, and we currently only have 8 picks. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. My name is Derek. This is Detroit Lions Syndicate. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. We'll be here for phase 2 of free agency, and we'll be gearing up for the 2023 NFL Draft. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself, and as always, go Lions.